The Bournemouth 2026 partnership consists of public organisations, private companies, faith groups and charities. Working together, these bodies have devised a set of visions that will contribute to making Bournemouth a better place for residents and visitors alike. This film sets out what has been done in Bournemouth over the last few years to achieve these visions, and will also pose the question, what can you do to make a difference?
One of the aims of Bournemouth 2026 is to improve the quality of life for older people. And in 2008, partners published a strategy called the Age-Friendly Bournemouth Strategy, and the aim of that was to improve quality of life. We started by asking older people exactly what their priorities were, and they came up with things like being safe, getting around easily, integrating with younger people. And so ever since 2008, we have been addressing these priorities, and we have supported Older People's Day for the last 3 years. Here's a leaflet that we published this year, in 2010, when we were at the Fab at 50 Older People's Day event. So you'll be able to see this and read about some of the things that partners have been doing in the last 2 years to improve quality of life for older people. And here are some partners now to tell you exactly what they've done.
So the project came about initially through Pool Volunteer Centre back in 2005, and we had some funding through the Active Communities Unit to encourage older people to volunteer.
I filled up the time I was working, I filled up that time with volunteering in about the same amount of time. And then also I found volunteering later on when I was left on my own, when my wife died, that filled in various gaps in my life.
Older people said of volunteering that it's really helped keep them active, give them a purpose, keep them into a routine, and people volunteer for so many different reasons. It's hard to give you just kind of one succinct one now.
And because volunteering is not one-sided, the person volunteering gets something out of it as well, which is quite intangible, but that becomes quite important.
I've been involved here about 18 months actually as the main tutor, and it's aimed at people who are very new to computers. We assume no prior knowledge of computers at all. Most people actually haven't got that much knowledge of them. Some have a bit, but are a bit afraid of it and not sure what to do.
Where I live now, in sheltered accommodation, where I've lived for 3 years, I don't own my own computer, and I'm a bit nervous about it. So really, this is like a refresher for me. I want to get my own computer.
They're very nervous about using a computer. In fact, I'm not even quite sure really why they're even trying to use one. Sometimes they're sort of almost browbeaten by the grandchildren, is the impression I get. But they're not sure what they can be useful for. They've heard lots about it. They feel underconfident because they see their offspring and their grandchildren sitting there twinkling away quite happily. But of course, they feel they're a bit out of it.
It's a big thing for me about confidence, because as you know, computers moved on so fast over the last 8 years.
Well, I'm really very heartened by the fact that everybody tries so hard, they concentrate really hard. They clearly are enjoying themselves, even if they are a bit puzzled at times, which inevitably will if you knew, because we do actually give them quite a lot of information. Sometimes it takes a little while to sit there and assimilate, but it's very enjoyable, very rewarding, and yes, carry on for a little while longer, I think.
Okay, I'm Jane Portman, Executive Director for Children and Family Services, Bournemouth Borough Council. And we've been working on our Children and Young People's Plan since 2007. It's got a focus of 5 outcomes for children. We want children to be healthy, stay safe, enjoy and achieve their work, make a positive contribution to society and achieve economic well-being.
Well, the early years service is primarily concerned with very young children. So we provide a service that's aimed at children 0 to 5 in their first year at school, and their parents, obviously, because parents are key partners, particularly in these early years.
I started Family Information Days about 3 years ago. We trialled them. The whole idea was to take children's centres out into the community to meet mums, where there's walk-through.
Parents are our partners, and one of our biggest initiatives recently, and one of the things that takes up a lot of early years' time, is children's centres.
We started to invite more services, frontline services like libraries, shelter to give debt advice, Citizens Advice Bureau. We linked up NHS services. So we had the health information shop. So there was more of a package when the families came out to engage with them.
So our children's centres and all the work we do is about empowering and enabling parents to be even better parents, and that hopefully that by doing that we will nurture an even better set of parents in the future, and so that things will move forward and we will see fewer children living in very disadvantaged circumstances.
In terms of standards this year, we've been particularly pleased because for the 3rd year in a row at all of our key stages, foundation stage, year 2, year 9, year 11 and year 13, we've shown some significant progress. We've also had quite a lot of successes around reducing the number of exclusions that schools have to make, and that's through work around behaviour support service and the outreach from special schools and so on. We've increased attendance right across the piece, both primary and secondary, and as we know, if you actually attend school, you're going to get better results at the end of it. And one of the key factors for success in Bournemouth at present is we've reduced the number of young people who are not in education, employment or training.
Children's social care covers the social care, the needs of all children and young people, from those who are in high need, and we often refer to those as children who are looked after, to children who are in need of lower level child in need support. We're really fortunate that we have a training flat, so once young people have become, supported by their personal advisors, they can spend a short time in the training flat where they live on their own and they learn to shop for themselves, care for themselves, manage their electricity, buy milk and food and those sorts of things. But more importantly, they understand about social isolation, living with neighbours and being part of the wider community.
It was set up a couple of years ago for generally 16 to 21-year-olds, for looked after children and care leavers. So they generally go in there, depending on what stage they're at with their independent skills. When the social worker or pathway support worker thinks that they're ready, a lot of our young people think that they've got the independent skills to have their own flat when they're 18, and that's all they want to do. So it's really good when they're 16, 17 to go in there, and they go in there for a week. They have a weekly budget which is in line with benefits, so it's like £51.85. They go in there with the worker and they have a plan to budget their money, what they're going to do, how well they think they are with their different independent skills, and then obviously they stay in the flat for a 2 or 3 week period. The worker goes in and visits them during the week and obviously speak to them. They've got that support, and it's for them to develop their skills and see how they would be able to cope in a flat on their own.
You've seen what's being done already. Now it's over to you. We want your suggestions on how we can all do things better in Bournemouth. Don't just think about the public sector. Think, what can the community do? What can individuals do? Think, this is my town. How can I help to make it better? We can't feedback personally on all comments we receive, however, all will be seriously considered. Actions suggested for Bournemouth 2026 partner organisations will be considered by the partners before any commitments are made. The final action plan will be made available at bournemouth2026.org.uk in August 2011. A direct link will be sent to participants who provide an email address.